We are hot off the heels of the conclusion of Season 2 of Frieren, and not only that, but I have just read, the same day that the season ended and I watched the finale, I've just read the final chapter of the Frieren manga. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to put any spoilers in this video until the second half. I'm going to break it up into two parts. First, I'm going to continue where I left off. If you don't know, I've already made a part 1 to this video, just talking about Season 1, so if you haven't watched that and you don't know what's going on, feel free to go back and watch that. But if you want to just continue, I'm going to be remaining with these exact sets that I have right now, but I'm going to change around a few of them, and then we're going to get into the new characters. Then I will give you a warning so that you don't get spoiled. Don't worry, I will make it as obvious as possible when I'm switching over to talk about the manga, because I have so much more to say about the manga than Season 2, because obviously it was a short season, there wasn't too many characters introduced, and it was a lot focusing on Stark and Fern, and I mean obviously Frieren. So with that said, I have to give my first change to this tier list. Stark and Fern are both moving up to SSS. This season was so good for Stark and Fern. They developed as characters so well, they even went on a little date, and seeing Stark fighting in this season, and Fern, I cannot get over her long range shot. It was immaculate. It was amazing. I loved watching them this season, and they definitely deserve to go all the way up to SSS rank and even go ahead of Flama. Some people were kind of... I think one person disagreed with me putting Flama all the way in SSS because she's not really in the show that much, but I personally still think she deserves it because she had insane amounts of influence on the show, and I just really like her as a character, so I'm keeping her up there. But Stark and Fern are going to usurp her position, so now we've got 5 characters in SSS, and everything else is staying the same for now. But the first new character that they introduced this season was the Hero of the South. Now, I think I'm gonna put him at least A tier. I'll say that. I really like the Hero of the South. I think the concept of him being able to see the future and going to see Frieren knowing that she's not going to join him and still going up to the north to try and like set out a path for her and the heroes party in order to do whatever they need to do to defeat the Demon Lord in the future. I think that is an amazing character setup, and I just really like the concept of this character. Now, I'm not sure exactly where to put him. I want to at least put him ahead of Kane, but honestly, okay, I'm gonna leave him here for now because he hasn't done too much. But I love the concept of him, and if they explore him more in the future, he's definitely gonna get bumped up at least like a tier or something, because I really want to know the details of his magic and what he did and who he fought, because we saw he fought against a bunch of demons, and I'm so curious about it. I want to know more so badly, but for now, he's gonna stay there in A tier. Now, next is Foss. He's not as big of a character, but he had a really cute arc where he went to go find, I believe it was called, oh shoot, I actually do not remember. I was going to call it Albers, but I think that's the name of a city. Either way, he went to go find the world's greatest alcohol, and of course we find out it's pretty horrible, but he was chill with it. He was still having a good time. I liked him. I'm gonna put him in the middle of B tier. I like his character. He's pretty cool. And we also met Miliar during the same arc, who is essentially shown to us as the ultimate prankster who set up the alcohol to begin with. And I feel like she's got a lot of potential, but we didn't really see much of it. We just saw a funny character, and that was pretty much the end of it. So I'm gonna put her as well right next to Foss, and hopefully they expand on her more, because I would love to see more about Milliard. You know what, actually? I'm going to put them ahead of Berg, because Berg didn't do much either. Now, next up is a big character that involved a lot of fighting, which is Revolte. Now, Revolte was basically the source of some of the coolest fights in the season. For me personally, I don't know why, I really liked Stark's fight against all those dragons, but that does not take away from Revolte being an incredible fight. Now, I don't have pictures of the other demons from that fight on this tier list, but I mean, they're not huge characters, so I'm not really worried about cutting them out. You can just pretty much say, you know, they were probably B tier, above Learnin, let's say, because we don't like Learnin. But Revolte was really cool, and probably cooler than Linny, at least. But I can't put him above the Hero of the South. The only question that remains is whether or not I think he's better than Kane and Luine, and I think I have to say no. Because while he is very cool, and he does have interesting magic, he doesn't really bring much to the table besides that. Like, he's pretty much just a cold-blooded killer that is incredibly strong and dedicated to his craft. But other than that, there's not really much, and Kane and Luine bring a lot of potential. Like, I can definitely see them showing up later at some point and bringing in a lot more, so I feel like I'm gonna have to leave them ahead of him. And that's good enough for now. And especially because you compare him to other demons like Aura and Qual, and it's like, he just doesn't even compare. It's not even close. Even Linny is almost better than him, just because I think her magic is cooler. But yeah, it was only a 10 episode season, and that's pretty much all of my thoughts on the new characters. Like, there really wasn't that much. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. I do need to up Janao and Methode, because they also developed their characters a little bit more in that fight against Revolte, and I quite liked them. Particularly Janao, he seemed more as like this humanoid character rather than just an annoying silent guy. And I liked that they did that, and they showed that while he struggles to really understand the people around him, he does have a lot of sympathy, and he's trying to protect these bodies and let them be buried at home and all of this nice stuff. And Methode, honestly, she's pretty much the same, but it was fun to see her get to fight against a demon, and it's interesting to see that she's got some sort of background in like a family or a tribe that focuses on demon hunting. I feel like that's really interesting, and that could potentially go somewhere, but either way, these characters definitely got a huge upgrade. They got some more screen time, and I really appreciated that. So they're going up to B. Werble did also get some more screen time, and I did like his interactions, but it wasn't really much more than the same interactions he had with Stark in the last season. So he is going to be staying where he is, but honorable mention that I liked seeing Werble in this season for sure. So, that officially concludes my Season 2 review. Wasn't much, it was only 10 episodes, but it's set up for what's coming next in the manga. So, huge spoiler warning. Huge spoiler warning. Don't continue if you haven't read the manga, or if you don't want any spoilers for the manga, because I am going to be discussing characters from the manga next. So, you've officially been warned. Now, the next arc, spoiler alert again, just in case, is the Golden Land arc. It was briefly mentioned at the very end, but this is my favorite arc in the entire manga. It is just I have no words to describe how amazing it is. And I have to start with, of course, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mocked. Mocked of the Golden Land is just an amazing character. The way that he interacts with the world and tries to like research and understand people in the most inhuman way is so interesting to me. It's unlike any other character I've ever seen from any other show, because a lot of these characters are portrayed as just being insane and sociopathic for the sake of being evil. But this character, it truly to me didn't feel like he was evil. It really didn't. It felt like he was simply born without the compassion or the humanity required to be a human, but he still wanted to understand humans and try and get into a world where he doesn't have to fight them. And of course, if that means he has to kill hundreds, millions, unseen, unfathomable amounts of people in order to get there, he's 100% willing to do that. And I can't get enough of Mocked. I love his character, the way he acts. I love his magic. Everything about him is magnificent. And because of that, he has to go to SSS tier. Now, I know he's ahead of Flama, but I am really, really uncertain about whether he beats Frieren, Stark, and Fern. I just cannot decide. It is very difficult because obviously Frieren, Stark, and Fern carry the show. And Serie is Serie. I mean, he's not beating Serie. I'm just gonna spoiler alert for the tier list. Nobody's ever beating Serie. I love Serie. She is just the best. But Mocked, for now, I'm just gonna leave him there. But let it be known that this may change. And with that in mind, next I'm doing Grouse-san. Now, Grouse-san is much like the Hero of the South in Season 2, in that he's shown, but I feel like there's not really much learned about him. I do like his character a lot, but I need a little bit more. It feels like he's an accessory to Schlacht, and he's helping him do his work, which is cool, but I just don't have that drive yet. Now, with that said, he's still a very cool character, and I think I'm gonna put him in S tier, perhaps above Aura, which I know is high considering I didn't have that much praise for him. And I agree, it's way too high. I'm putting him above Vol. I think he's got potential to go above Aura, but I shouldn't be jumping to conclusions like that. That was a little bit brazen of me. My apologies. He's going to go below Sign, and he's going to be happy there. And as I mentioned, he felt like a supporting character for Schlacht. Now, Schlacht is a super cool character. He's essentially portrayed to us as like the Demon Lord's right-hand man in charge of the 7 Saints of Destruction, and he, along with the Hero of the South, have this insane back and forth future predicting. I don't even know a word to describe it. It is just so unbelievably interesting to me, and I have so many theories about what it could possibly be, and I don't know if I want to get into it in this video. I feel like I could make a whole video just on Schlacht and the Hero of the South and my theories on that in and of itself. But for now, I gotta say, Schlacht is going above Aura, and Hero of the South is also rising above Aura. I think that Oh gosh, it's so hard to decide. You know what? I'm taking the plunge. Schlocked and Hero of the South are both going to SSS tier. Because I feel like the connotations behind their battle and their abilities and what they're doing is just like, it's crazy. I might make a video on just that and my theories. If you are interested in my theories on Schlocked and the Hero of the South, let me know in the comments, because if you guys want it, I will make a video solely dedicated to my theories on those two, because I feel like there's just so much to talk about there. It's insane. And I'm making an executive decision. I'm deciding Fern and Stark go below Mocked, Schlocked, and the Hero of the South, which is a little bit crazy. I know, but I'm sticking to it, at least for now, because I really like those characters, and I really want to know what's going to happen, and I feel like they're going to have crazy influence on, like, way later in the story. So I'm leaving it like that for now, and we're moving on to Solitar. Now, Solitar has awesome magic. It is super, super cool, but I don't know where to put her. I really like her as a character, but not as much as Schlocked, Mocked, or Hero of the South. So I think I'm gonna put her at the top of S tier, because I think she's really cool, but not cool enough to meet SSS. Now, obviously, before finishing off this arc, I need to talk about Denkin, because Denkin was incredibly pivotal to this entire plot, and they talk a lot about his past and his relationship to Gluck, who I'll talk about soon, and Mocked, and all kinds of stuff, as well as showing him as this, like, bridge between the Continental Magic Association and whatever the magic people of the North are called. I'm blanking on their name. But he's this interesting little bridge, and I feel like he's just super interesting to the point where he's going up to SSS. He is going to be at the bottom, because he doesn't bring as much to the table as a character like Flamma, but he's super interesting. I really like his influence on all the different groups in the show, because in season 1 he's seen as this, like, high figure, but that's pretty much it. There's not, like, this sort of interlocking view of him where you realize not only is he a high figure, but he's a high figure in these different groups at the same time, and they're going to be bouncing off of each other, and he's the connecting line. So we really like Denkin. We really like his interactions with Mocked. He's getting SSS. Now, Gluck. Gluck worked with Mocked, but he didn't really do much of his own. He was kind of just a corrupt old man, which is pretty cool in and of itself, and he worked with a literal demon. He was the first human ever to do it, which is pretty cool. I think I'm going to put him at the bottom of A tier for now, and just leave it at that, but I think he's a pretty cool guy. I do like his character, but I don't think he's going anywhere from this point. I think that's pretty much a dead end for that character. Okay, so that is the end of the Golden Land arc. I may bounce around and change these up, but for now, I think this is what I'm sticking with. I'm happy with Serie, Frieren, Mocked, and Schlocked being at the top. I'm conflicted about Stark and Fern being below the Hero of the South. I mean, I can't split up the Hero of the South and Schlocked, though, because they're just so interwoven down the same path that I think it's either Schlocked and Hero of the South or Stark and Fern that deserve those 2 spots, so I may swap them at some point, but for now they're remaining there. Now, the next 2 characters are from the Goddess Monument arc, and the characters are Tote and Rivale. Now, I'll talk about Tote first. I don't really remember Tote. She's kind of forgettable, she's kind of mid. Not D for bad character, and not F for forgettable, but I'm gonna put her at the bottom of C. I wouldn't write home about her. She was in like one panel or something, and I'm just not a big fan. She could come up later, potentially, or something. I don't even know if she's alive at this point, but for now, she's going to be at the bottom of the sea. And that takes us to Rivale. Now, Rivale is way more interesting, because he's just an absolute unit. He's basically just a warrior in demon's clothing, and I love that he can basically pull out whatever weapon he wants. He's essentially like Linny, if Linny was actually like redonkulously strong. And what's interesting is that if you look and see the demon that Stark saw, like when his village got destroyed, it looked suspiciously like Rivale. And you look and you see of the demon that fought against Werlos, and presumably, you know, both of them survived, because I assume that that fight was far before Stark, because Werlos looked pretty young. He's gone up against a lot of strong foes, and it's likely that he's still alive out there, because if he was alive when Stark was a kid, I mean, that had to have been, like, at most within the last 16 years. At most. And we've not heard anything about him, so he's likely still out there. He's likely going to come back at some point. And I think I'm going to put him at least below Sensei. I think I'm going to put him above Sign. No, I'm not, because I do need to make some amendments to some of these characters, but I'm gonna save that for the Foundation Festival arc, because for now it's just too much to think about. I don't want to jump around the arcs. So next, I'm gonna leave him there, and I'm gonna go to the Imperial Territory Travels arc, and the only new character we see is Radal. Now, Radal is basically just an old man, and he's a pretty cool guy. He's doing his mission or whatever, and I like him, but he did try to kill us, and he was really barely a character. So I think I'm just going to put him at pretty high up C tier, below Graf Granat and Orden, and just call it a day. Now, the current arc in the manga, with the most amount of characters by far to add to this list, is the Foundation Festival arc. I first want to go through some character repositions, because this arc involves a lot of characters, and I feel like pretty much all of them need to be mixed around in this tier list, starting with Lond. Lond is kind of a mid character, or at least that's what I thought. But in this new arc, we get to see more of his real personality and his more real magic, his fighting-based magic, because up until this point, he had essentially only been a clone. He basically never fought. But now we got to see he uses like a lightning type of magic, and he can move very quickly with it, and he's using his clones in different unique ways. There's all kinds of cool stuff. He's still kind of a baby man a little bit, but he's definitely improved a lot. And I don't know exactly where to put him, but I think I'm going to put him above Stoltz and below Himmel. I almost feel like Vol should be down here. I don't know why I put Vol so high. I really liked his one-shot story, but I don't think he needs to be all the way up in S tier, so I'm just going to quickly move him down. Sorry, past me, but as a little brazen, I don't know if he deserves S tier. Come on now. But let's look through the characters. Sign does make a triumphant return. Unfortunately, he hasn't done much yet. I'm sure he's going to do a lot more in the coming chapters if they ever release, but for now he hasn't done much more. So he is going to remain in his same spot. And Sensei. Sensei is in the new arc, and she is just as cool as always. I liked Sensei, but now I like her even more. And she's definitely going to be jumping up the tier list. I don't know exactly where, though. Ubel is also jumping up the tier list. Sensei and Ubel are both going up. I just have no earthly idea where to put them, which is difficult because there's I feel like I'm putting this big line between S and SSS, but I also feel like Ubel and Sensei are just passing it. So I think they both need to go. Where did Sensei go? I think they both need to go to SSS tier, which is crazy. And we have a lot more SSS characters now that we're fully into the manga than when we started. But I just feel like there's so many amazing characters in this show. SSS was originally supposed to be like the super elite tier, but like Stark and Fern are now pretty much blasting past Flama because they're developing more as characters and they're getting stronger and they've got a lot more interesting attacks. And Stark in particular has developed his personality so much. He used to be a lot more fearful, and as the seasons progress and as he fights more and more enemies, he seems less nervous and more like a true tank of the party. He is ready to defend the party at any moment, at any drop of the hat. If Fern or Frieren get attacked, he's always ready, and it's just so cool to see. And even on top of that, they're just like that date episode from season 2. It was just so good that they need to be up there. And even then, they haven't beaten out Mocked, Schlocked, and Hero of the South because there's just Mocked is just so cool, and the other two, I need to stop talking about them. And of course, Denkin is way cooler in the season. Ubel's even cooler in this season. Sensei is even cooler. I keep calling it a season, but I just mean, you know what I mean, the manga. There's just so many good characters. Now, more good characters. I'm gonna actually talk about the new characters. I'm gonna go sort of by their groups that they show up in, roughly in the order that they show up in, but not necessarily. The first character that is pretty pronounced to us, the one that first goes up against Ubel and Land, is I don't, and forgive me if I mess up all of these character names, but New is pretty cool, and I have still not figured out how he was casting magic after Ubel casted Sorganil on him. And there must, obviously there's something to do with like those little bugs flying around, because Frieren or what, Fern asked her if she heard like bugs or saw bugs or something, and we saw those sparkles. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll figure it out soon. But New's a really cool character. Not as cool as Grausam. And I feel like we haven't seen him enough that I'm conflicted on whether he should be at the top of A tier or the bottom of S tier. But for now, actually, I'm gonna leave him at the bottom of S tier because I'm gonna take Weg and I'm gonna put her below Land. Now, when I started that sentence, it made sense because I was gonna say that I was gonna put Weg above Himmel at the top of A tier, but I feel like we have not seen Weg do anything, like literally nothing. So maybe she goes at the top of, like, I don't even, maybe, I think she goes above B? She hasn't done anything, though. the more I think about Weg, the less I think that she should be high tier. I think she's just kind of cool, and she sounds cool in my head because of the voice I gave her. Which, yes, I gave all the characters voices in the manga, and yes, I am disappointed every time I hear Serie, because in my head, she's got like the perfect voice, and the sub just, it just doesn't capture it the way my brain does. But anyways, back to Weg, back on track. I'm just gonna leave her at the top of B. I'm just gonna leave her below Milliard, actually. And that's... I'll leave her below Berg. I'll leave her below Berg. And we're sticking with this. She hasn't done much, but I'm not the biggest fan of anyone that's Janao or below. They're kind of like alright to whatever. Weg, I think, is pretty cool. Not as cool as Berg. And they've honestly done pretty much the same amount. So she's gonna stay there. And with that in mind, New is gonna go to the top of A. He's not S tier yet, but he's got a lot of potential. Now, I'm gonna have to zoom out a little bit because we're no longer seeing our characters. So it's gonna be a little bit smaller, but that's okay. Next character, actually I'm gonna skip Kanon and Fraz, and I'm gonna do Grau and Lager. These guys are going also like around Weg. Lager gets ahead of Weg and Grau gets below Weg because Lager seems nice and he looks really cool, and Grau seems nice but he doesn't look as cool. So yeah. And now Kanon. Kanon? Or Canon? I'm gonna call her Kanon. She is so cool. I don't know if it's been explicitly stated, but from everything that I can extrapolate, Kanon is essentially a double agent. I'm pretty sure that the inside man that Serie has in the Northern Magic whatever is Kanon. It's hinted at several times. She seems very lenient with Lond and Ubel. She seemed like she was pretty much trying to pass them off information. It's pretty much nail in the coffin. Kanon is the double agent, and she is incredibly good at it. And she has two very different personalities, because every time we see her in like the not magic get up, I really need to remember what these people are called. Hold on, let me see. Vice Captain of the Empire. Oh, Magic Special Forces. Okay, yes. She's the Vice Captain of the Magic Special Forces. And when she's not set up like that, she looks completely different. She's very like flowery and puffy and nice with super long braided hair. And then you put her in the Magic Special Forces and it's like a switch completely flips. And I think that is very, very cool. And because of that, she at least goes ahead of Aura. Now, does she beat Croft? I don't know. Does she beat Solitar? I don't know. I don't think she beats Sensei, because I'm just a huge Sensei fan. But I definitely do think she beats Solitar. I'm gonna say she takes the top of S class, because she's just such a unique and cool character, and I'm really excited to see where she goes. My current prediction is that when the fight breaks out more, she's going to end up helping the Continental Magic Association and fight off the Shadow Warriors, because Fraz seems like she's pretty much giving her a choice. And obviously we know as viewers that Kanon is on Serie's side, so she's probably gonna stick with Serie. Unless something horrible happens to Serie. But surely that won't happen. Surely that won't happen. Nothing is set in stone. The manga is still releasing. Nobody is going to die, and Serie is going to be happy, and everything is going to be cool. Don't tell me otherwise. Moving on. Frost. Frost is very cool. We have not seen her do anything. And for that, she's going below Grausan. Potentially below New. Potentially below Himmel. Definitely not below Land. I'm going to leave her there because she does seem very influential and she's almost like a human equivalent to like the Serie, because they've spoken about Serie obviously having a view of this entire place with her magic, and they said that Frost has the same exact type of thing, which is quite impressive in and of itself. But she's definitely going somewhere. We know that she couldn't beat Serie in a fight, but she's still very cool, and I'm very happy to see where she's going. And something interesting is that they compared her to Yubel, which Yubel is obviously very, like, my perception is reality era of myth style of magic, where if she believes it, it'll just work. It doesn't matter if it doesn't make any sense, it simply will work. And they describe Yubel as similar to Phrase, which means she's probably got that similar kind of insanely powerful, she will just believe that it's going to work this way, and then it simply will kind of magic, which is quite cool. And that leads us to the last of the characters on that little group, is the Emperor. Now, the Emperor hasn't done much, but he seems very amicable, he seems very cool, and I'm going to put him above Land, because I'm not the biggest Land fan. And the Emperor talked to Serie, and he was a chill guy. I liked him. And that's pretty much all I have to say about him. Now, moving on to the Shadow Warriors. These characters are just all incredibly cool. And I don't even know where to begin putting them on the tier list. Schritt has not done much. They have not done any fighting. But they're very cool. And astoundingly, or at least in some respect, they're the brother of a character that I won't say quite yet, which is very interesting. And because of that, I think I'm going to put her above the Emperor. Well, above Himmel, because that's what Destiny decided, I guess. Now, I need to mention this character. It's not necessarily set in stone that this is the case, but it's been very heavily implied. Kreese the Blacksmith, one of the Shadow Warriors, is one and the same with Guerrilla Warrior. Guerrilla Warrior, the man that Sign has been looking for, is now one of the Shadow Warriors, which is very cool, and it also shoots him up the cool rankings past Land. That's right. All the way past Land. A little bit crazy. I'm still not the biggest Land fan. Alright, I'm sure it's pretty obvious. I'm not the biggest Land fan, and I like the Shadow Warriors. So, he's jumping straight up past Land. Now, that could change. Land has been getting very cool over the last few chapters. So, it's questionable. But for now, that's where he's going to go. Now, next we've got Wolf. Wolf is undoubtedly my least favorite of the Shadow Warriors, but he's still pretty cool. And I think that he's going to be below Vol. Honestly, he's probably going to be below Revolte. Or below Linnea, even. Or below Gluck? He's definitely not a B tier character. Is he not a B tier character? I don't think he is. I think I'm going to leave him there for now. I'm not the biggest fan of him. I think he's pretty cool. But these other A tier characters are also very cool. Especially like Linnea and Revolte. Like, he's neat, but he hasn't done much to stand out yet. So he's going to be at the bottom of A. Now, Gazelle. Gazelle, I like this character a lot. His voice in my head is very cool, which I know that means nothing, but to me it's important. His voice is cool. His personality is very chill and cool. His attacks are astoundingly powerful considering he uses little knives. So, while we haven't seen him do much, I do like him a lot. And he's gonna go around new. I think below new, because we have seen new do a lot more overall. But they're very close, and I feel like Gazelle is gonna pass new in no time. But we will just have to watch and find out. Now, the next character I'm gonna talk about is Lore. Lore is like a tower, a radio tower, which is cool. It's a very cool magic, but she did get blasted by Frieren, and I like her design. I think she's very cool. I just feel like she hasn't been fully fleshed out yet, which is totally fine. I think I'm gonna put her above Shriek and below Gazelle, but I think there's a very high chance that Gazelle is gonna end up going higher, up into S, and Shriek is going to end up passing Lore. But I also think Lore is going to end up passing New. So I honestly feel like all of these characters are going to get a huge mix-up whenever we finish the Foundation Festival arc. Which, you know, maybe I'll make a part 3 to the Frieren tier list, but that's probably not going to be until they finish releasing the anime for the Foundation Festival arc. So, frankly, it could be years at this point because the manga is just on hiatus. But for now, this is where they're going to stay. Just know that I do think they're going to change in the coming chapters a lot. Now, we're moving on to Routine. I kind of want to rate Routine and Iris at the same time. I'm going to do Iris first. She is very, very cool. And I feel like she's just about the same as Gazelle. I think their two spots are essentially interchangeable. But I'm going to put Iris below. They're in the same spot. That's what they look like in the tier list, right next to each other. I know it looks like Iris is below, but they're in the exact same spot. I like them both in my head. They both have cool voices. They both have very cool attack styles. They're both in the same spot. Now, Routine gets an S. Okay, and let me explain. I have a natural disposition to the sleepy style of character. I love that type of character. It's one of the reasons why Sensei is in the SSS tier, because she's just that cool, drowsy type of character, and Routine is basically just Sensei light. And for that fact alone, she's got to be at least S tier. And honestly, because we've seen her do a lot more, and her attacks are very cool, I really, really like seeing her fight with Land, and Ubel, and I'm very curious where it goes. I think I'm going to have to put her above Aura. Astoundingly. Not above Craft, I don't think. I changed my mind. I'm putting her below Solitar. But by the time she finishes fighting Ubel, she's probably going to be above Solitar. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I really like Routine. She's a very cool character. And I am in a very conflicted state because, as you can see, I like Shriek, I like Lore, I like Iris, Gazelle, New, Phrase, Routine. I like all these new characters. And I am scared that they're going to die. And so I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place where Ubel and Routine are fighting. I don't want either of them to lose. I want them both to live. Lon and Iris are fighting. I don't want either of them to die. So This is just a full-on copium arc for me because I just want everyone to get along and just be happy, and I know it's not gonna happen, and I know some characters are gonna die, and I really hope Serie doesn't die, and I really hope Serie doesn't die, and I just hope Serie doesn't die. As long as Serie doesn't die, I'm satisfied. It's good enough. Moving on, Werlos. Werlos is incredibly cool. I thought that he was a cool character in and of himself, just being a forgotten hero of the North, with some characters sparsely remembering him and appreciating him, and now he's just sort of this unknown, nameless man that has gone completely undercover as a shadow warrior. Somehow he ended up switching careers from being a hero to a literal underground assassin. Don't know how that happened. I would love to learn more. I really like Werlos, and even better, he becomes best friends with Aizen. Well, maybe not best friends, but they were revealed to be close friends. That's amazing. Now, we have not seen him fight. We did see him absolutely trounce Falsh, which, by the way, I'm remembering Falsh has been in this new arc, and he is a little bit more interesting. He's gonna go above Learning. He's not forgettable anymore. I do actually remember Falsh. He's got like black magic and stuff, which is cool, but he's gonna be below Method and Janao. By the way, Method should be above Janao. I don't know why I mixed that up, but that's where he's gonna be. He's memorable now. He doesn't have an arm. Werlos is cool, but we haven't seen him do much. And so he is going to stay below Croft, above Aura, but with high expectations. I 100% expect him to skyrocket in the tier list. And by that I mean at least go past Hyder. Which is a huge difference. I just gotta say, the difference between Croft and Aura is astronomical. No offense to the Aura fans out there. We do love Aura, but like, Croft is just so cool. We love Croft. Everyone above Croft is honestly just like amazing characters. And anyone above Shreet, anyone Shreet and above are like fantastic characters. Anyone Croft and above are just phenomenal. But we'll leave Werlos there for now. Now we've got Clematis. I'm saving Clematis for the final Shadow Warrior, besides Loe, obviously. Clematis, I want to talk about a little bit, because Clematis obviously basically formed Gazelle, Iris, and Lore into who they are today. And something that I thought about when I was reading through the manga at one point, I don't remember exactly when, but I thought to myself, imagine how obscenely powerful it would be if there was a mage warrior, someone that has the utility and movement kit of a mage, and the power and speed of a warrior. They would be insanely powerful. And then I thought about Clematis, because Clematis, not only did he raise Gazelle and Iris to be shadow warriors, he raised Lore to be a priestess. She uses the goddess's magic. How exactly did he train her to do that? There's two possibilities. Either he just kind of gave her the goddess's book and expected her to do whatever it is that you do with the goddess's book to learn the goddess's magic, or he taught her himself. And that's what I'm leaning towards. I think he can not only use the goddess's magic, but he's also a shadow warrior, which makes him insanely powerful. But I have not seen him fight yet, and this is all speculation. And with that in mind, he's going just below Land. That's right, below Land, because I don't think he's that cool, but the second he starts fighting, he has potential to go very high. Probably not as high as Lore, Iris, and Gazelle, because I just think they're cooler, better characters. But he definitely has potential to have a big cool factor, which I look forward to a lot. And that leads us to Lehrer and Loe. Lehrer is Loe's butler. Kind of forgettable. Interesting background they gave us in like the last chapter or two. They gave us some background on him, which is pretty cool. He used to be like the strongest warrior in the Southern Lands, or at least I presume that man in the flashback is him, because Loe called Lehrer his master in the present and in the past. So it's kind of presumable that they're the same. And because of that, he gets pretty high. He's going to get A tier, but all the way at the bottom, because we haven't really seen much of him. It's an interesting character, but not too much has happened with him. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put him just above Falsch, because he hasn't really done anything. He's interesting, he's got potential, but that's about it for now. But Loe has explosive potential. He allegedly killed Minus, who is apparently one of 3 great mages, who I'm assuming are Minus, Serie, and Mystery number 3, potentially Frieren, maybe, but I don't know if I'm willing to believe that Frieren is on the same class as Serie and Minus, because frankly, Serie would wipe the floor with Frieren. I'm not gonna lie, her mana pool is it's just ridiculous, and the amount of spells she knows, like, I don't think Frieren has a chance against Serie. Maybe with like her party with Fern and Stark, she maybe has a chance, but still probably not. But either way, Minus and Serie were on similar levels, and Loe managed to kill Minus, which is insanely impressive. He's very cool. He's leading all of these Shadow Warriors, but we have yet to see him fight. And what does that mean? Well, it means that he goes below Lore. We still have not seen Street fight, and we still have not seen Loe fight, but I think Loe has more hype behind his character. We know more about his character. We've seen parts of his past, and we've seen his goal, which is terrifying. To remove magic is insane, but he's pretty high up there. And lastly is Minus. Minus, we don't know really anything about. What we do know is that she's a Serie level threat, which is terrifying. But again, we haven't seen her fight. She's got a lot of potential, but she hasn't done much. And I'm going to put her below Loe, because I think if we get to see more of her, it could be incredibly cool. But for now, she's going to stay there, just below Loe. And I am done with all of the characters. I gotta say, going into this, did not expect, obviously I finished the manga literally today, I did not expect that this arc was going to be halfway through when the manga got put on hiatus. So a lot of these ratings I gave are kind of placeholders, which is really unfortunate, because I feel like a lot of these characters could jump up further, and I feel like this arc has potential to usurp the Golden Land arc as my favorite arc. But that's definitely not going to happen until it concludes. I cannot draw a full conclusion on an arc until it ends, and none of these characters in this arc are as cool as Macht or Schlacht, at least not yet. Loe and Kanon and Fraz and Werlos even all have potential, but like, Macht is just so cool. So I'm gonna have to leave all of these characters here for now. There is one other character that is not on this tier list that I want to give a rating. I don't know where I want to put them, but it's the goddess. Now, I personally speculate that the goddess is an elf. Now, in the last few chapters, we were following along with Loe, and he discussed that there was no magic before the Age of Myth, which is an incredible revelation that they just dropped on us out of nowhere, because the fact that there was no magic before the Age of Myth is insane. That means there was probably no demons, because they're a race made out of magic, solely using magic as essentially their only method of fighting. And mages obviously exist. Serie is from the Age of Myth. Was Serie from before the Age of Myth? I highly doubt it. But was the goddess before the Age of Myth? Well, I mean, she'd have to be if she's the true goddess. My personal belief, I think the goddess is an elf, and I think she has simply existed for an obscene amount of time. If Serie is from the era of myth, I think the goddess is either the one who created magic, who discovered it, or she's simply been alive since before magic even existed, and when it came into existence, she was already like a scholar or something, and she just became known as the goddess and researched magic more than anybody else. I don't know. These are all theories, but I'm very interested in the goddess. I'm very interested in the creation of magic and how it connects to the goddess. There's just so much to learn and so much to fear, especially about Serie. I need to stop talking about Serie, but oh my god, I'm so scared. But I'm just gonna end it there for now, and I hope that they start releasing more chapters of the manga soon. And also, heads up, I'm pretty sure Season 3 of Frieren is going to be releasing in October of 2027. I could have the month wrong, but I know it's going to come out in 2027. It has already been confirmed. So for all of you out there watching this random ass Frieren characters tier list from a person you may or may not have never heard of because you're addicted to Frieren, she is coming back. You don't have to wait for 10 years. There is already a time that she's scheduled to come back, so you don't have to panic. But I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings and nonsense. Again, if you want to hear all of my theories and opinions about Schlacht and the Hero of the South, let me know. I would love to go and make a video just rambling about those two characters and all of my theories about them. And last thing I wanted to mention, if you disagree with any of my characters on this tier list, any of the placements, tell me why in the comments. Tell me where you would have put them, because for me personally, this is like the perfect tier list. Some of them are questionable. Stark and Fern, Schlacht, the Hero of the South, maybe they should switch. Should Mocked really be that high? Yes. Should Denkin, Ubel, and Sensei be at the top of S instead of SSS? It's questionable. Should Kanon be above Solitar? I don't know. But this is generally a good tier list. I like it. I agree with everything I put on here, so if you disagree, let me know which characters you would switch and why you would switch them. You need to give a reason. You can't just say that this character's SSS for no reason. But thank you for watching, and keep enjoying Frieren.